Caleb, this to me is emblematic of some of your shortcomings as a sports journalist. You say that Tennessee would rather be a 2 or 3 seed and close to home than be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, which they've never been before, which pretty much guarantees you a first round win. So explain that to me. Closer to home, do you think there's going to be a massive fan attack and there's going to be a home court advantage like no other? I'm having trouble following your logic. To be a number 1 seed would be historic.
I think Tennessee has the chance to have one of the best home court advantages in all of college basketball for this reason. I think, Dave, let's look at the teams that are vying for the number 1 seed spot right now. Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Auburn, Houston, Duke. Those are the top 6. Everybody else is fighting. Those top 6 fighting for the top 4. Outside of Duke, which of those teams would you say has a deeper fan base than Tennessee in basketball?
I mean, Tennessee's pretty deep. I mean, who would you say?
Nobody. Tennessee. Yeah. So if you get Tennessee close to home, in the regional closer to home. Now, I can't speak for the first weekend because those first weekend selections are random. They try to get everybody close to home the first weekend. So I'm talking the second weekend. Here's where the regionals are, Dave. Newark, New Jersey, San Francisco, California, Atlanta, Georgia, or Indianapolis, Indiana.
Called an indoor football game there in Newark, New Jersey once.
Oh, really?
Me and Steve Hamer. He was my color guy.
Oh, nice.
Pretty random.
Would you rather? So let's say Tennessee's the 2 seed.
I'd rather not go to New Jersey ever again. If that's one of my choices, then you just won your argument because I don't ever want to go to New Jersey.
New Jersey's the Mississippi of the East Coast.
Maybe it was just a big dump. It felt like somebody went around every night and just sprayed stuff gray.
So, would you rather be the 2 seed in Atlanta or Indianapolis? Let's take Atlanta. Say you're the 2 seed in Atlanta and Alabama's the 1 seed or Auburn's the 1 seed. Now they're all equally close to Atlanta. Knoxville, Alabama, Auburn, they're all very close to Atlanta. Which fan base do you think is going to overwhelm the other ones, Dave?
You would think Tennessee would.
Yeah, because Alabama and Auburn don't care about basketball still. They can't fill their arenas now, and they're way smaller than Thompson Bowling. So there's that. The same with Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis is a very reasonable drive for Knoxville, right? They would pack in Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah, it's not really reasonable, but it's reasonable-ish.
So imagine if they have the number 1 seed, but they're in the West Regional out in San Francisco, and they play like, I don't know, I haven't even covered the Pac-10 this year, or not the Pac-10, but West Coast teams. But, the best West Coast team right now that there's nobody good on the West Coast this year, but Arizona is probably the best team on the West Coast. Tennessee has the number 1 seed, and say Arizona's the 4 seed, and Tennessee has to play Arizona in the Sweet 16. Would you rather be playing Arizona as the 1 seed in San Francisco, or would you rather be playing Alabama as the 2 seed in Atlanta? And this is what I'm talking about. Or Iowa State.
No, I would rather be the 1 seed. I'll answer that question. I would rather be the 1 seed. Yeah.
I don't care about the 1 seed. Who cares? First of all, the difference in your path to the Elite 8 is minimal versus the 1 or the 2 seed. Very minimal. Very minimal. So I'd rather play closer to home, particularly as a Tennessee guy, because if I'm Tennessee, if I play for Tennessee, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I know my fans are going to show up for the games in Atlanta. They're going to show up for the games in Indy. I'm going to get a home court advantage in the NCAA tournament.
But Caleb, I've covered like 10 different NCAA tournament sites, and there's never a field that, other than Kentucky, that a fan base takes over because they have to split the tickets like 4 or 8 ways or however they do it. I've never been, other than Kentucky, even with the SEC tournament, which I don't know why they waste their money on that. But other than Kentucky, I've never been at one of those NCAA venues and thought, man, that team is taking over the fans, the fan section, and they're having an effect on the game. I've never felt that way.
There are tickets that do get split, and then they just go to the general public afterward. And I'm telling you, Tennessee fans would scoop up those tickets. We're talking about a fan base that took over 43% of Ohio State's football stadium in an actual road game, not even a neutral site game.
But it's basketball.
Yeah, well, there's fewer fans, but there's also smaller stadiums. You don't think Tennessee would take over it? Again, I just went down the list. Auburn, Florida, Duke, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Iowa State, Texas Tech, St. John's. Dave, of the top 10 schools right now, the top 10 seeds in the NCAA tournament, Tennessee would outdraw all of them, except for Duke. And by the way, all right, here goes my hot take. Yeah, I'm sorry. Y'all can call me crazy. I think there's a possibility Tennessee would outdraw Duke. Because
there's a good possibility. But Duke, you have to understand, it's a very small school, and it's kind of an elitist school that looks down on a lot of sports like Vanderbilt.
Yes, and 90% of Duke fans are just regular fans who don't ever go to the games. It's like Miami fans, honestly, in football. Whereas, I think you covered that Tennessee-Miami game in football back in 2003. Didn't it seem like there were almost more Tennessee fans at that game?
Yeah, but I remember it was weird because they kind of wore orange too. That was one of in the Orange Bowl. That was one of the more difficult games. Yeah, actually.
To determine the breakdown.
Yeah, I will tell you this story, though. My wife was pregnant, and so she sat in the stands, and I went to the sports information department, and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know my wife's sitting in the stands. I wonder if maybe she could sit up here and watch the game on TV. She doesn't even really like sports. And they said, oh, Lord, get her out of the stands now, and just handed me a credential as fast as I could because it was not safe.
Oh, wow. That's so funny.
And I go get her out of her seat, and she's sitting next to a guy that has a full cooler of beer. I don't know how he got it in, but a full cooler of beer in the Orange Bowl.
Oh, my gosh. That is so crazy.
A rolly cooler. Like he had to have 24 beers. You don't need to drink 24 beers at a football game, do you?
I mean, please. How many people have we seen do that at SEC football games, guys? Come on now.
We've seen a couple. So
but all I'm saying is,
yes.
Yes, I'd rather be a 2 or a 3 seed closer to home and have my fans fill the stadium. Home court advantage, you have to acknowledge it makes a huge difference. It probably makes a bigger difference in college basketball than any other sport.
Well, let me ask you a question. If they're a number 1 seed, will they hang a banner? Should they hang a banner?
No.
Yes, they should.
No. Wow. Some selection committee put the number 1 by your name. Yay!